To be or not to be natural? That is the question everyone is asking, especially when it comes to peptides. And if you haven't heard what peptides are, stick around, I will explain it to you in this video. So my name is Drew. I work with 7+ figure entrepreneurs, and this is exactly how I coach them regarding peptides. Now, what are peptides, you might ask? Peptides are super simple. You're probably taking one right now. It's called collagen. All a peptide is just the basic units of protein molecules connected through a series of chains. Now, how a peptide interacts with you is the same as any protein interacting with you. It gets absorbed into your system, and that creates a response. A signal perhaps. And how people are using peptides nowadays is to create a signal in their body that normally would not happen, to give them an advantage that normally wouldn't occur. This is exactly how I'm using it. Famous influencers like Brian Johnson are using it. Famous educators like Andrew Huberman are suggesting it. And also a wide variety of athletes, entrepreneurs, and even regular day-to-day people are integrating peptides into their lives. To be fair, it's not exactly natural, but what is natural nowadays? Is taking creatine at 5 grams a day natural? Because you would never get that in the amount of food that you're eating off your plate. But that's what we're doing. So are peptides natural? Maybe not. But the better question to ask is whether or not they're safe. And on top of that, if they can be therapeutic, because that's exactly how we integrate peptides into our client protocols. We're trying to create them the maximum amount of outcome for the minimum amount of risk. And I think peptides fall perfectly into that category as long as they're used safely, with supervision, and based on a data-driven method. And when used properly, they have a ton of benefits. But before we go there, we have to talk about the cons. Because listen, anything you put in your body has the potential to interact with you in the wrong way. This is why data drives the decisions. It's also why you should be really closely monitoring how you're reacting to the peptide. Now, peptides are these signaling molecules. If you put them in your body, they're gonna try to create an outcome. Everyone's outcome might be a little bit different. You need to understand what the specific mechanism you're trying to create is, and then you could be using it as a therapy, not just a band-aid. So peptides can be dangerous if misused, because what you're doing is signaling the brain or specific parts of your body to work in a supraphysiological fashion. That means that if you put a peptide into your body, you could be going full gas. And if you misuse it, there might not be any breaks for you to slow down. So that's why administration should be done very carefully under doctor supervision, or at least somebody you really trust that knows what they're doing. By the way, we have a doctor on the team, but anyways. The other thing you should be aware of with peptides is that not all peptides are made the same. You want a high quality, purely manufactured, third-party tested product, because you're literally putting something in your system that can have any type of outcome. So you want clean products, you want good carrier oils, you want it administered in a safe fashion, no pollution, no dilution. Make sure you go with trusted manufacturers. Cheap peptides are not good, and good peptides are not cheap. So let's say you got the good peptides. What are the benefits? Well, it could be endless because there's so many peptides, but just to name a few off the top of my head. First of all, they could be neuroregenerative. I know this is what a lot of my entrepreneurs are focused on, is how can their brain perform their very best. So that's one option for you. But outside of that, there's a variety of other things. You could use it for fat loss, muscle gain, muscle recovery, sleep enhancement, stress management, immune system boosting. You can extend your life with it. You can be more beautiful as a result of it. Like literally get a better skin complexion. You could heal inflammation. There's so many, I cannot name them all. The list will go on and on. But again, you have to use them effectively to get those benefits. I will leave a clear list of benefits in the description box below, so take a look there. But I'll give you an example of what a real life scenario that I've had with my client. So everyone's probably heard of BPC 157. If you haven't, it's probably the most mainstream peptide you could get access to. This compound is very effective for healing gut linings. So my client has leaky gut. They have a lot of gut-related issues that are causing them to have diarrhea all the time. One of the reasons for that is their intestinal wall is not joining the way it should. It's leaky. It has these tight junctions that are open. You introduce BPC 157 into the equation, and all of a sudden that gut wall that is porous starts to reform and recalibrate. There's some really good compounds that can aid this process even further. I'm talking about the larazotide acetate, the KPV, and then you throw the BPC in there and you have like this amazing gut healing formula. This is just one use case of using peptides. Another use case would be recovering an injury. So I have a client that just went through surgery, and we want to make sure that this individual gets the fastest recovery possible, both from the surgical wound and also from the reparative connective tissue damage that he probably incurred. So what do we use? We use a combination therapy of BPC and TB500. Another client had a broken bone. We actually added IGF into the protocol. So all of these compounds have specific intervention mechanisms. They create a response that we want to enhance. And in the right use case, we can integrate them, and boom, all of a sudden, the client results are that much more efficacious, that much more efficient, and that much more effortless. And that's the promise we guarantee our clients. So one thing I have to reinforce with peptides is that it is not a children's toy. So with the right guidance, with an understanding of your blood panel and your genetics, you can make the right decision for you. And I promise you, it could be one of the best decisions you could bring into your life.